You know what's strange about grief during the holidays? Time feels like it's moving like a turtle in slow motion while the world is zipping by and fast forward. Hi, it's your friend Amie Barsky here, and today on I Come First, we are talking about what no one else is saying out loud. That grief and sadness and loneliness can hit pretty hard during this time of year. So I'm bringing it here to shed light on it as well as give you some tools and techniques to help you process these emotions. My mom passed away in January of 2020 and I felt so lost. Deep grief was happening inside of my body. It was heavy, it was lonely, and honestly, I felt confused as well. I had a really hard time grasping the fact that I would never see her again face to face in human form. A few months later, as you all know, COVID exploded, and we all know the chaos and the challenges that that brought along. So we'll save that for another episode. However, the following year, my father passed away. That sent me in a full on tailspin, and I am so grateful for the support I had. I remember while everyone around me was hanging stockings and Christmas shopping and planning family gatherings with their loved ones, I was experiencing feelings of grief and abandonment. I would sit curled up on my couch, binge watching YouTube videos of Wheel of Fortune, which was my mom's favorite game show. And I would stare at my phone, wishing and willing that her number would pop up with her face and her voice saying on the other end, "Hey, Amie, what are your holiday plans this year?" I remember standing in my kitchen, washing dishes and staring out the window, reminiscing about the times when my dad would be scurrying around the kitchen, making a mess on Christmas morning as he was so committed to making his perfectly fluffy and golden pancakes, eggs over medium, and the best extra crispy bacon in the world. And I know for certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that I am not alone in any of this. So, whether you're going through a loss of a loved one, a divorce or heartbreak, or a loss of a job, or anything in between, and you're feeling emotions like sadness and grief and waves of abandonment and confusion, I get it. I so resonate with you. And maybe that's not your case. Maybe you're just simply feeling disconnected from the whole holiday spirit that everyone else seems to have an abundance of, and you're wondering, well, why don't I feel that way? Wherever you're at on the spectrum, I encourage you to keep listening to this episode because it could be pretty helpful in processing all of it. And of course, if you have a friend who you know could use some emotional support, please share this episode with them as well. Okay, so let's dive into these emotions. The most important thing to keep in mind is that emotions are energy in motion. And the best thing that we can do is allow them to be felt. If or when they visit during the holidays, and yes, I said visit because that's what emotions do. They visit. They are not permanent residents here, okay? Just like visitors, we can learn to interact with them in ways that serve us better. Now, sadness is a fascinating emotion as it is a core layer of grief. You know, that deep ache that seems to intensify when you see others happy and celebrating life. Maybe you feel a wave of envy or jealousy come through your body. I've definitely felt that at times. And you know what? It's okay to feel this way. In fact, it is more than okay because we are human beings, and this is a part of the human experience. You know what's interesting? Society doesn't tell us that the holidays can actually amplify our emotional experiences. Instead, our culture is over commercialized and laser focused on consumption of material things. That is a huge contrast between the external hustle and bustle and cheer from what's actually happening internally with those emotions that we might be struggling with, especially this time of year. And I have to be honest with you, last Christmas, I had moments, even while I was sharing my latest coaching programs and hosting workshops and appearing to have everything together in my professional world, I found myself crying in my car after a holiday party. The loneliness I felt was overwhelming. And even though I had just left a room of beautiful, incredible people, I felt so alone. It was in that moment that I realized something really amazing. that these feelings weren't a sign that something was wrong with me. They were actually a sign that I was deeply human and I was capable of feeling the spectrum of all the emotions. And that's what we get to grasp here, that life is full of contrast. And how can we navigate it with as much ease as possible? So I want to share with you 3 powerful ways to navigate these emotions this holiday season. Approaches that I personally use, and so do all of my clients, and they have had amazing results. Now, let's start with the emotional sanctuary practice. This is not your typical just think positive advice at all. Instead, I want you to create what I call an emotional sanctuary. This is a designated time and space where you allow yourself to feel everything fully, completely, no judgments, just allowing. Here's how it works. Choose a specific time of day. I personally prefer the mornings, and create a cozy private space for yourself. Light a candle, grab a journal, and then set your timer for 15 minutes. During this time, you have permission. This is your permission slip to feel everything. You can say it out loud. You can let the flame of the candle transmute it. You can dump it all out on the journal, just writing everything down. You can do both if that helps you process it. Do whatever you need to do. However, the key is to treat these emotions like they are honored guests rather than unwanted intruders. The next one I want to share with you is called the BSM Practice. Breathe, sound, movement. Okay? Here's something I know I share often, but this was the missing link for me that finally led me to the experience of having long-term results. That means I wasn't repeating the cycles over and over and over again. And that is that our bodies store our emotions. If we don't give ourselves time and space to feel them, then they get trapped in the body. And that heaviness in your chest or that tightness in your lungs, that's where grief, loneliness, and abandonment are living in physical form. The BSM practice is what's called a somatic practice, and soma means body. And what you'll want to do is find a quiet space where you can move freely. Start by standing and place a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, and take a few deep breaths in and out. And then begin to gently move your body, whatever way it wants to move naturally. Maybe that's swaying side to side, maybe it's stretching or shaking or stomping, even dancing. The key is to keep breathing and let your body lead while you're transmuting your emotions, okay? Trust your body knows exactly what it needs. And as you continue to move, I invite you to notice, where are you holding tension? Is it in the jaw? Is it in the throat, in the belly, in the chest, in the back? And when you find these spots, breathe into them. And then the invitation is to create sound, a gentle humming sound, a grunting sound. Maybe some words want to come out and be expressed. Vocalization plays a huge role in moving the energy through your body. Now, this is so not about looking graceful, okay? So this is about letting your body process what you might be struggling with in your mind. I personally love to play music during this practice as well. The last one I want to share with you is called the Here and Now ritual. This one is a super powerful tool because most of the time when we are feeling grief or loneliness, or when you're feeling anxiety or overwhelm, that is our minds spiraling about what happened in the past or spiraling about what's going to happen in the future. And that means that we are not present at all. The Here and Now ritual brings you back to the present moment. So here's what you get to do for this ritual. Take a seat, take a few breaths, and look around the room and identify 3 things that you see. Then think about your breath again. And again, get as grounded as you can. And then notice 3 things that you can then touch. Then I want you to tap into 3 things that you can hear. And then 1 or 2 things that you can smell. Then take a few more deep breaths. and allow that practice to ground you into present time. And if you need to repeat that practice a few times, because sometimes our brain just wants to take us off to Never Never Land, keep coming back to present time. Things that you can see, things that you can touch, things that you can smell, okay? This is something that I practice quite often, especially when I'm feeling anxious. I want you to remember that you get to be gentle with yourself. These are practices that can truly change how you be with your emotions at any time of the year, really, not just the holidays. And it's important to know that this is not a quick fix. It's not a one and done. It takes time. It takes compassion. It takes grace. These are practices. And of course, if you need support, please simply DM me on Instagram at Amie Barsky Coaching. I am literally a DM away. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you of the truth. You are not broken because you are feeling these emotions. You're not failing at the holidays because they don't look like everyone else's. You're navigating your path with courage, and that deserves to be honored and celebrated. Remember, choosing to put yourself first, to honor your emotions and your needs is not selfish at all. It is the foundation for healing through authentic living and genuine connection within yourself. If today's episode resonated with you, will you please share it with someone who might need to hear these words? And don't forget to jump over to the IG community at Amie Barsky Coaching, where we continue these real, raw, vulnerable conversations every single day. Until next time, big hugs from my heart to yours. We'll see you soon.